I'm going to give you a tour of my garden. Starting out here, we have some squash climbing up a trellis. They're doing really well. I've got some squashes forming, as you can see in here. This is a robin coconut, which is very similar in size to an acorn squash. I've got over in the corner some cucumbers that are growing all over the place up an A-frame trellis and over the side of my fence. I have beets that I'm beginning to harvest, and there's still quite a few there left to harvest. In this bed, I've replanted a second planting of beets so that they'll be ready in the fall. I have my kale back here. You'll see in the bag there, I overwintered Swiss chard. It's a biennial, and I'm protecting it so it doesn't cross-pollinate so I can save seed. So after the flower forms and seed forms, I'll take that bag off of the Swiss chard. It's actually floating row cover, and I'll be able to harvest seed and have ample Swiss chard seed for next year. My next bed is mostly herbs and some more seed saving that I have. I have let cilantro flower, and you'll see that some of the flowers are beginning to turn into seed. I let this go in place, and then I let it self-seed itself so that I have volunteer cilantro come back up again. And I do the same thing with my auric, which is also called mountain spinach. It's beginning to flower, and you'll see the flowers on there. I'll let that flower right in place and let it seed itself, and then I'll have volunteers of my auric or mountain spinach next year. Garden's kind of big. In this bed, I have some Brussels sprouts and some collards that I harvested today, and Swiss chard. I have zinnia bed for my pollinators. Back here, I have a very large garden, so a neighbor of mine uses space in the garden, and he's doing this experiment with cucumbers on kind of an A-frame type of a trellis system. I think it's going to be quite beautiful when it's done, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of cucumbers. There will be a lot of cucumber eating going on there. Pan over to the other side of my garden. I have a sunflower, lone sunflower. I'm letting, I put in some cover crops here. This is some buckwheat. I wanted to amend this soil a little bit, so I did put a couple of flowers in there, but mostly I have buckwheat in this bed. And at the end of the bed, I have a trellis with some pumpkins growing up it, another trellis with some butternut squash. You can just see I'm beginning to just get the startings of butternut squash up there.